streaming now. I should. I just want to put on a little bit of music in the background. And by the way, what you're looking at on the main screen is what you are going to be looking at for quite some time during this live cast. I've been not doing a live cast for a few days because most of my work has been, unfortunately, this, and I just didn't want to give the impression that I just disappeared and such. So I'm going to see if I can put on just some music in the background for myself, if no one else. I kind of like the idea of just leaving. You guys could put on your own music in the background because, heck, I know that we don't all like the same kind of music. Seriously. So anyway, we're going to proceed with that, and I'm going to turn down my audio on this side as well. So what we are doing here, and this is a, like I said, sorry, adjusting my audio on this side. Let me bring up my live streaming window. Okay, cool. What we are doing is I am going to be upgrading us to the Unity project to Universal Render Pipeline. Up until this point, I believe we had it at Universal at a point before I made the mistake of hiring these AAA developers. Because I know we had better graphics and better performance back then. For some reason, they brought us back to the built-in render pipeline of Unity. If you're not aware, Unity has multiple render pipelines that it can use to present the game. And what we were using for the last couple of years, it looks like, was the built-in render pipeline. Now, Unity's built-in rendering pipeline, while very versatile and very good, is here's the problem with it. Because it is the generic built-in rendering pipeline, and maybe I should make my face bigger in the window, considering there's just loading screens over there. Hold on. There we go. Yeah, because you can see my beautiful face. Let's see. The problem is Peace Island, as anybody who's been following the project knows, is a very visually oriented game. We really like the atmospherics, trying to create the beautiful feeling of being out on the islands in May, during autumn, and the built-in render pipeline in Unity is made to literally handle everything from Tetris all the way to 3D open world games, whereas Universal Render Pipeline is far more oriented toward the higher end sort of graphics that we want. I have had an ongoing disagreement with our lead coder about the importance of, he keeps on saying, well, it's going to take a lot of work. You're going to have to redo a lot of textures. And I'm like, dude, it's not going to mess with any of your work. He always works on the back end. Hello, Hispano. ¿Cómo está? I wish I spoke Spanish. I wish I spoke any other language than my horrible butchering of the English language. But anyway, buenas noches or buenos dias. But anyway, the thing is when you have oh gosh, I don't have a quarter to put into the thing is file. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to rip off a little dollop of this like poster tack every time I do that. And that's going to be like a marker. But considering the specialized nature of Peace Island's graphic demands, I never felt that, the generic built-in render pipeline was ideal for a game that was so dependent on next-gen graphics and such, especially considering that the Unity platform is not known for like next-gen graphics, quite frankly. If you want to do that, go with Unreal. But I wanted to get us onto Universal because it would allow us to do a heck of a lot of visual stuff faster and better. And, I just decided as an executive decision, let's just go ahead with it. He's probably going to complain and he's probably going to go, oh my goodness, look how things are differently colored here now, blah, 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 blah. But I seriously think this is what we need to do. Because, again, you can't use a graphics engine, a render pipeline that was intended for producing everything from Tetris to what are the fruit poker game, the Candy Crush, I mean, that is, yeah, it can do it. It can produce Peace Island. But considering that Unity does give a specialized render pipeline for higher end graphics, why not freaking use it? I mean, the only people that are going to have to do the extra work of like converting all the textures and such is pretty much who has two thumbs and is going to be doing all that. This guy. So I mean, I say I'm going to go ahead and do it because. But as you can see, it's mostly us just sitting here and staring at this. So really, during the time that we're waiting for the line, we could just talk about this, that, and the other. How are you doing there, Hispano? Remind me where you are again. Are you the guy out in California? There was a guy out in California I talked to last time. No, I don't think you are the person out in California because you've been here a few times. The person from California, this was their first time in. So anyway, yeah, while we're doing that, I'm going to keep the Elodie McLoader face over here while she does her work. And we could just talk about games and such like we've done, in previous times. Go down freaking memory lane while we watch, Eric just go through boring, like waiting lines. So, uh, you know, there was a while back in New Jersey. Got into. I mean, after I sort of got out of when I couldn't afford any games whatsoever, I started like checking out like a couple of Korean MMOs, and it's amazing how many Korean MMOs there are. I mean, just amazing. Let's see. I mean, there are. It seemed to be thousands of them, and each one had their own say. There's one for ever kind of genre that you wanted, but they were all MMOs, with the same crap, and I hate those. Um, Especially considering about all the players were on a PC Bong in Seoul, and they or another city, and I mean, they had no time for the stupid guy in America who spoke no English. I'm sorry, spoke no Korean. Um, I tried learning, hello, but I just don't have a mind for languages. I'm so ADD. But anyway, yeah, for a couple of months I got it. It looks like this is almost done. Well, no, a couple of weeks. Because again, when I was living in New Jersey, there were times where I didn't have 2 cents to rub together, or whatever. I spent a heck of a lot. I've been poor pretty much my entire life. I still don't pay myself. I mean, our project is well funded from our contributors. Thank you, contributors. But I don't pay myself much. I'm still used to this. I don't think I think the last game I bought was RimWorld, and oh no, it's still doing its thing. Well. But I in the end, I realized, I'm not really into that whole MMO thing because Dark Age of Camelot. Let me see, Dark Age of Camelot. That's one I spent about a year playing. I mean, my goodness. When you look back at all the games you played back in the day, I'm pretty sure this is the same with everybody. You're just astounded at how primitive the graphics were that you're willing to put up with. I mean, jeez, I mean that right here. I'm just gonna open this in a new tab. This was, I mean, the height of is pretty sweet. 4 years ago, my God, people are still playing this for you. But yeah, that was what the graphics looked like. No, grass at all. It was just ground textures, But yeah, yeah, it was one of the many that lost the battle to. Well, here it didn't lose because people are still playing it, but it was one of those that just couldn't overcome Dark Age of Camelot. Dark Age of Camelot is like the Coca-Cola or the Disney of MMOs. Adventures. I don't think anybody ever came close to even. I mean, maybe EverQuest, because EverQuest predated. And let's take a look at EverQuest screenshots because that was even. Earlier. And by the way, I don't blame anybody if you don't want to stay here to spot or anybody. This is just again me waiting for this loading to end. But I'm just going to screenshots. I think that lasted for quite some time. Yeah, it's got the same crappy, sort of just sort of Doom, late '90s Doom sort of graphics. Oh boy, wow. Yeah, that's just no good. I don't know. I just noticed my portrait was over that screenshot I was showing of the crappy graphics. Ah, we're done. Now, here's what's interesting. All right, save. Yes. What I have to do now is I have to restart Unity because our burst compiler updated. For a description of what, yeah, Spano, don't blame you. Uh, no hard feelings, my man or lady, or whichever you might be. Let's see. So, what I need to do now is open the project again so I can reload it with the proper version of burst. And now we need that we've installed the URP package. We need to install the URP package, and that's its own little thing. And it's another thing where it's got to just go through all the materials and such. And I got to reload the URP packages on a few third-party assets that we use. And that's what we're gonna do here, and we're gonna wait for loading to get done. So. Yeah, EverQuest really didn't. Well, actually, that looks kind of neat right there. Look at that crazy goblin. That's pretty good graphics when you look at. I'm going to take my head down again so we could take a look at what's on screen rather than what's my head. Okay. There we go. Let's open image, a new tab. Yeah, I mean, DAOC never had that sort of like deep texture mapping. Maybe there are new plugins and new versions, but yeah, EverQuest advanced beyond DAOC. And there were a whole bunch of oh goodness, fur cake. Can I just say, I mean, this should be like, oh, what's on my shirt? Oh, hold on. How are hiya, Sarin. What's on my shirt? It's let me see if my I have to go over to my video things. Yeah, it's Standard Baking Company. It is one of the benefits of living here in Portland is we have Standard Baking. It's considered to be one of the top 10 bakeries in the United States, and I mean, once you've had their bread, you're just like weeping for the rest of humanity that they just because what we're used to in the United States and in the world in general is just this sweet soft stuff, and oh my goodness, it's just it's wonderful stuff. The best, it was definitely the best bread I've ever had. I mean, when you have just some of the Standard Baking bread, I mean that whole thing of a loaf of bread and a jug of wine and thou makes sense because literally it just is. I bet you can live on that freaking bread. It's old style sourdough and such. And well, the really neat thing is they are literally right across the street from the ferry terminal here in Portland, Maine. So it's like every time I go out to the island, if they're open, I always stop by and get a piece, a baguette or two for the trip because heck, why not? Oh. Yeah, I I've been shopping there for years. Unfortunately, in the summer, it just gets overcrowded with tourists, and but heck, it's still great. And there are other places in town you can get their bread, but none locally. We have a little mini mart down here that used to carry it. By the way, yeah, we're waiting for Unity to open. Sorry, this is what the evening is going to be. By the way, sorry. Is we're upgrading to Universal Render Pipeline, and this means just waiting for the computer to get done with stuff. So, how are you doing this evening? Played any good games lately? Seen any good movies? Read any good books? Listened to any good audio books? I need to say that now, because I mean, I myself don't barely have time to read. I should make time to read, but I mean, most people listen to audiobooks these days. So. Now that we have installed our Universal Render Pipeline, brought it in from our package manager and reloaded our burst compiler, let's see. What we need to do is... Oh, yeah, create rendering Universal Render Pipeline. Yeah, create. And what you go is assets, create, rendering. Yeah. I've done this about 3 times, before, but it's one of those things that I if I had to do it a dozen more times, I wouldn't have to look at the manual. Maybe I will have to do it a dozen more times. We'll see. But yeah, what we want to do is, yeah, rendering, and we want the universal rendering. Set. Created, excellent. And we're going to call this PIURP. PURP. And now what we have to do is we've got to go over to graphics in our project settings. I always have my project settings open simply because, yeah, graphics. Yeah, okay. URP global settings. Hold on. Never turn that on. Now I got to go back to graphics. Okay. So what we want to do is we want to bring in our PURP that we just created, continue. You see, changing render mode pipeline asset may take a significant amount of time. We're all here for it. So it's got to do its thing. There's Lodi McLoaderface showing her best side. By the way, if you're not aware, we've named the loading window Lodi McLoaderface, and it's a she. We decided to make her binary for some reason. I don't know. But anyway, go back into a round of Rome 2 Total War. Oh, dude, you know, that was another thing I played back in the day. You just triggered my mind back into the day when you could get really good demos, you know, of games. Those were the golden days as well. I played Rome Total War, one of the first versions of it, on a computer back in the day on a demo. I'd like to play it again because, I mean, I'm pretty sure now it looks like Lord of the Rings on a high-end graphics processor. You know, the battle scenes got a lot of stuff going on there. Ooh. So, let's see. A different flesh. Oh, well, Asimov has been away, by the way. Harry Turtle did, but so he basically took. I follow Harry Turtle, fan of Harry Turtledove, straight up. I follow him on Twitter, and we've tweeted back and forth at each other. And when I first time he tweeted at me, I was like, oh, because I remember reading his books like what 20 some odd years ago. I started with Guns of the South because it was actually read on NPR when I was in Seattle, and you know they read the book as an NPR and National Public Radio used to have a weekly show that was just this guy reading from a book for an hour, and he chose Guns of the South. And I remember back then I didn't have a TV. I was living like in this tiny basement apartment with this old crickety boom box. And one of the stations I was able to get with, you know, the antenna with the wire strung out through the window outside. I was able to get NPR, and I caught one episode of that. You know, I was like, oh, God, I got to listen to this guy. You know, you sent me on the Harry Turtledove thing. I didn't know that he's done a new thing with Isaac Asimov. When you say a different flesh, is he getting into like body horror, alternate history? Now, yeah, we're okay. Ignore it. We're going to ignore this. Now, here, an interesting thing. Unity does this when it does not have correct materials for anything. It turns it magenta, and it's a great choice as far as colors. Because if you don't know about this color, especially when it comes to like digital creation of this color, it's sort of like a color that doesn't exist and just sticks out in your mind. There are many YouTube videos about magenta and why it may not be actually a color. It's weird. But it's about right now we have about 5% of the textures. You can see some things floating like out here. Let's highlight the dock so we can take a closer look at that. Oh, Lodi McLoaderface. Oh, we love you so much. Well, I'm almost going to go into. I want to go into Google and look up. What was it? A different flesh. It's like they're gonna make it into a movie, and it's gonna be directed by David Cronenberg. Hold on, I got a Wikipedia. Sorry, a collection of alternate history short stories by American Harry set in a world in which Homo erectus, along with various megafauna, survived the modern times in the Americas and Native Americans. Ooh, oh goodness. That would be interesting, I think. Yeah, huh, huh. I started watching a YouTube channel, but it's just he mostly criticizes young adult stuff, but he did go through this big long list of like time travel novels and alternate history novels. But I mean, one of the things that he covered, and it was a whole series of books that I wasn't even aware of, where because of some experiment, um, Nantucket Island in the modern era gets transported like back into like like something BC or something. I mean, not early enough. I mean, basically when early, the first human cultures were taking shape all around the world. Not so far back that it would be problematic, but not so far forward that would be familiar. So it was all about how these like people on Nantucket Island reform like this new, parallel Earth and a timeline. And I don't know, that's an odd take. Now you'll see here after we did that. Oh, no, no, it was still computing. We were going to take a look over here at this guy. Uh, you can see some of the textures are still good. Um, but that's very few. We're going to zoom all the way out to the rest of the island. But I guarantee you, we're only 21 minutes into this. By the time we're done, we're going to have 80% of the texture showing up. So what we want to do first is we are going to get rid of the ocean, because the ocean, a system that we are currently using, does not support universal render pipeline. But fortunately, we have one waiting in the wings. But before we even bring that in, what we want to do is we want to grab all the materials. Oh, sorry, I did that wrong. Yeah, we're going to grab all the materials and convert as many as we can through the default process. Just bring them up to URP. As you can see, we have a hell of a lot of textures here that we're using. Most of these were not. There's a hell of a, I mean, so many artifacts in this game, in the project that we got to get rid of. And I think me doing this URP conversion is going to facilitate that. Island in the Sea of Time, is that what that's called? Yeah. Um, a book that I recently read. I mean, can I just say I'm not interested in reading the sequels, but Tchaikovsky, Adrian Tchaikovsky's "The Children of Time." Uh, that was a quick. That guy, when he wrote that, that was a book. When you get it's like 600 pages, and you're like, oh my goodness. But he just writes it so you just zip right through it, and it's endlessly entertaining. I thought it was a ripping read all the way through. Um, let's see. Okay, so yeah, what we're going to do now is we're going to go to Edit, Rendering, Materials, Convert to URP, and again, we'll overwrite 7,673 selected materials. Make sure I have a project backup before proceeding. Already on that. Yeah, one of these days, maybe I should just dedicate myself. I really should, to go into bed a half hour early and just sitting and at least reading at least one chapter of a book before heading to bed. It does help you sleep better. And I do have books waiting in the wings. The problem is I mean, bless Adrian Tchaikovsky for The Children of Time. I thought it was very entertaining. But I got another one of his books, and oh my God, I was just like, not, not. I mean, apparently this guy, I mean, yes, he could write, and it was called Shards of Earth, and it was him just going, I could create an entire, expanse sort of universe, and he does, but I'm just not interested in a whole expanse side of the universe at this time. I mean, maybe some people, oh man, check how quickly we got there. It said this will take forever, but I I think all the blue ones have been solved. Mm, not all. Oh. Loading with Cloverface. She's not done yet. Yeah. Look, we got, yeah, everything that was blue is, so we're now up to about 60% of all textures working within Universal Render Pipeline. What I want to do right now is just pull out the previous ocean shader system that we had, both out of the scene and the project as a whole. And then, yeah, we got to go to the camera for that. But heck, I can't. That's something I'm gonna have to do in the main scene. What we're gonna do is we're just gonna get rid of the whole out of the project. Lux. That was a water shader we used for many years. Bless them. But it was no longer just practical, considering it does not support. It does support URP, and we do have a replacement ready to go that looks excellent and does work in URP. Oh goodness. There's a hook. Let's see what we have here. We got most of them. All right, great. Looks like we still have a few blue things that are problematic. Let's see. Well, I can't just sit here and stare at the screen while Lodi McLoaderface does her work. We gotta respect her space. But yeah, trying to think of other good. I could just bring this up here again. I did read his World War series, Harry Turtledoves. The thing about the aliens. But the problem is he tried to do like a follow-up sequel series, and it was just sort of like flogging a dead horse. It's just like, Harry, move on to the next, idea. Alternate History Hub on YouTube. He did a complete rundown of every one of Harry Turtledove's books to date. Harry Turtledove is like the Stephen King of alternate history. He could write like ringing a bell, man. Anyway, but yeah, I'm trying to think. Let me see. I'm just gonna type in alternate history fiction. What? Yeah, the South was right. What the hell? Let's see. By George Lincoln Rockwell. No, James Ronald Kennedy and Walter Donald Kennedy. Is this like some sort of weird white supremacist alternate history? Here's the thing. I have a fascination with lunacy. I very well may look into this. I'm not going to pay for it if it's written by a bunch of freaking racists. I'll just find a PDF online. But I'd be interested in watching that. Speaking of which, speaking of alternate histories, Spike Lee did a really good movie called CSA about not the Confederate States of America won the Civil War and they were able to secede. No, they defeated the North and took over the North. CSA by Spike Lee, and it is delightful, entertaining watch from beginning to end. You can't take it seriously as an alternate history sort of thing, but it's still a great movie. Every politician and his alternate history is looks like David Duke. It's just crazy. Anyway, oh boy. But then again, our African American fans that may be watching this later are going to go, "What are you even talking about? All American politicians already look like David Duke." Sorry, guys and gals, and those in between. Anyway, you see, now here's where we're going to go down into picking things apart. You see, we have a couple of things that are problematic, and we're going to address those first. Now, you see the ivy over here? These are the climbable ivy instances throughout the game world. And also here, you see the power lines, and let's just zoom out. You can see here, while the telephone poles are fine, the power utility poles are fine, the power lines themselves are kind of screwy. So what we're going to do is, fortunately, these systems come with URP packages that are already ready to go. So I'm going to go in and we're going to install those. And like I said, by the time we're done here, we're going to have 80% of the project working within Universal Rendering pipeline. But by the way, I just want to show you. Go to our console, infinite cascading error. See, as soon as oh, see, yeah, we're getting some stuff from our Vegetation Studio. More than likely because Vegetation Studio Pro is still linked up to stuff that's on the generic render pipeline, the built-in render pipeline. So we're just going to go back over to those Ivy. It was Ivy. I believe I still have the, yep, compatibility pack for URP. And what we're going to do, as you can just see, and geez, I'm going to go over to the inspector here so we don't get that. As I, install this, you'll be able to see the Ivy is just going to turn into, compatible with URP. And yeah, by the way, once I finish this project, they're going to be, finish this, the automatically assets that do have URP assets automatically attached. Yeah, I'm going to have to spend a couple of days probably redoing upwards of about 50 to 100 textures. Like I told our coder, earlier when he was telling me about how much work that would be, I was like, dude, I call that lunchtime. Redoing 100 textures. Come on. In fact, while I'm doing them, I'm just going to expect I'm going to have to redo them 50 times. So that's no big deal. But the thing is, our lead coder, he is a guy that is, again, into coding games. He is not into the visual side of things. Myself and Laura, we are very much into the visuals, end of creating games. And to him, creating graphics and textures and making sure that lighting is right and is boring. To him, exciting game development is, making sure that, the game systems are, the combat system and the crafting system and everything works great. And we want that as well. But, everybody has a field of expertise. He's left this to us, which is awesome. But he will raise a ruckus when I tell him on Monday. We've already updated to URP. That's why I told everybody to stop working on the project over the weekend. Lol. Yeah, all right. Okay. Anyway. Okay. Wait. So, any other books you've been watching? What books have you read recently? Sorry. I mean, come on. Let's keep the conversation going. We got more Lodi McLo. Oh, you see here, by the way? The Ivy just popped right into view. It's no longer magenta. Oh, and this is another piece of like back end thing that is sort of back end game development that most people don't know about. Well, they don't. Believe it or not, all in the entire island, along with all of the interiors within the game, such as the store, they all exist within one scene. Everything within the game, ultimately, unless we find a better approach to handling this, it's all going to be inside of one scene. And you can see there's some, still some magenta things here. But all of these projects, all of those can be fixed in swift order. So the bushes are probably... Now we want to bring in the power lines. And it's the cable creator, I think. Yeah, advanced cable creator. There we go. Oh, no, that's combining meshes. And there we go. URP and HDRP, bring that in. And after we're done with this, all these pink power lines are going to snap into metallic. Zip. There you see. And so now I'd say we're up to about 70% of all. And I'm wondering what these balls are here. Lol. That's what she said. No, that's gross. I'm going to turn those. Oh, that's the audio system. Let's turn that off because that's just, spheres. We shouldn't be concerned with that. I'd say, considering that we started with 0%, about 5% of textures working just about 15 minutes ago, we're now up to about, I'd say, 70%. I need to bring in the river auto material and highlight a few other things. But I believe for the most part, we've got stuff taken care of. I need to bring in the textures for these bushes here. Because these things are problematic. But you see, the flags, there are still problematic shaders like the flags here. Those may not be URP compatible because that depends on shader to deform the flag. If not, well, we'll find another solution. It's all grand. All right, so heck, I could probably code a replacement within about an hour. So I think our next, I'm hesitant of going after those Yuhui's bushes, but I think that may be our next target. Oh goodness, nobody's told me what other books or movies they've seen. You know what I'm going to say? I actually have to jump out of the room to grab myself another beverage. And while I'm doing that, and maybe also visiting the restroom, I will come right back. And, oh, hi, Julie. Oh yeah, Julie. And yeah, if you're the second viewer, this is not the most exciting of streams, so I appreciate you tuning in. I'm expecting everybody to stay in because if you've watched these before, you realize I'm just sitting here talking about bollocks and working on the game itself. You rarely even get to see, you know, the cat moving around inside of it. And this is an especial big case because upgrading to URP is a huge endeavor. I mean, despite it being like about a couple of days of work, I really need to just hammer at this for a little bit longer. I'm probably gonna, quit. I work 7 days a week on this, but I'm probably going to quit, once I get just, river art material and those others in it. But I will be right back. And Julie, if you're still here, and if anybody else wants to talk, tell me the movies you've seen, games you played. I like talking about with you guys while I'm on here. I'm not the only one that's part of this. This is a back and forth, guys. So I'll be right back. I'm back. And by the way, guys, I don't play music in the background of my live cast because people have said, oh, yeah, it's better to have a little bit of music playing in the background. Number one, I don't know whether you like the music that I like. Number two, I have a hard time making sure that the volume balance is correct. Oh, goodness, is my volume balance correct? Yeah. Between the music and my voice is correct. And, I just think that maybe, other people would like to listen to their music at the same time that they may be watching a part of this. So, but I mean, I'm not playing music in the background. Let's see. Somebody said, looks like a lot of work. Ah, goodness, Julie. Oh, goodness, yes. I could talk. Let me tell you. Let me see. Number one, we have to river. Got to bring in the URP package for river auto packages. Yeah, support files. Oh, I think I have to reinstall this because I may have gotten. Yeah, it has the. Let's see. Let's just see. RAM. Let's see if it has URP in here. Ah, there we go. URP support in River Auto Material. None. Okay, we have to go over to our manager. We have to get that again. Download that so we make sure that we have that. And yeah, and by the way, if I have absolutely no problem admitting that we use third party assets in the creation of Peace Island. I mentioned this several times, and I'm going to mention it again. Some people, um, I mean, they are of the opinion, oh, if unless you code every little part of the game yourself, you are not truly a game developer. If you buy a single, asset, a single system that you did not code yourself, you are just an asset flipper and you are no good. You shouldn't even try. And here's the problem with that. I was and still am to a certain extent a visual artist. And you know what that sounds like to me, that kind of talk? That sounds like an artist, a fellow painter telling me, unless you go up to a horse and pull the hairs out of its hide and bind them in copper that you refined yourself and fasten that to a handle that you carved yourself, then you are not a true painter. That's bollocks. I no, no, I totally reject that. But there is some, I mean, I do have to say, I have judged some, gaming competitions. And when I see people who I mean, when I see people who who do truly asset flip, it is grotesque. I mean, you cannot just come into developing a game going, I'm going to buy a bunch of stuff off of the Unity asset store and it'll make a game for me. You have to have, you have to care about what the hell you're producing. You have to care. You have to do something. I mean, come on, guys. So, anyway, let's see. Yeah, River Auto Material. Sorry about that. I forget where I was. And then I'm going to read what somebody typed over there. Sorry. RAM. There we go. So let's see here. Alice Madness Returns. I remember playing the demo of one of the first Alice games. In fact, the first Alice games for American McGee. And here's the problem with American McGee. At a certain point, they were producing games under his name that weren't his games. And I don't know how the heck that happened. There was some sort of like Robot City game that came out, and there was a controversy about it because it was American McGee's, let me see if I can bring this up. Scrapland. Yeah. Apparently this was something, Mercury Racine with American McGee. Let's see if there's any controversy. Or yeah, well, no, very short article. Wow. Mm. That's, yeah. Let's see. Oh, yep. McGee refers to himself as a marketing tool. He did nothing. He just basically said, I present this. And, so that's cool. That's cool. If you got, I mean, yeah, his name was worthy of being, a brand name. Didn't he also do Psychonauts? Was, um, let's see. Let's go over here. No, Psychonauts was not done by American McGee. Well, see, what other games? I forget American McGee's games. Let's see. How many American McGee games? Let's see. So he definitely has something to do with the new one, Madness Returns. Let's see. Alice Madness Returns. I should say screenshots. There we go. Okay. RAM, I gotta install this import. Just seeing here. Yeah, I got the ugly cat still. Cheshire Cat, was that the? Yeah. Looks like a lot of this stuff is still. Oh, that's a great snail. Laura would like. She likes snails. Oh, wow. Yeah, they definitely improved the graphics and such. Hmm. Hmm. Okay. Oh no, it's still loading. Sorry. Jeez. And I see some items that have lost their texture completely right over here. Um, these there's some paving stones. You can't probably even see my cursor. No, you can't. But anyway, up here. Anyway, let me see what else people have written. See if there's something I can. Yeah. Yeah. Well, number one, American McGee is one of those star game developers. I have no problem with somebody placing their name on that and saying, "Hey, I approve this." That's no problem. But the problem is, uh, I I don't know who the hell here is familiar with Wumpscut. It was a band out of former East Germany, what is now Germany, of course. And they were this techno sort of band, and they distinguished themselves by just being incredibly dissolute, nihilistic. I mean, all their subjects were just, I mean, post-apocalyptic and awful, and I loved it to a certain extent in my life because. I mean, I'm a fan of techno and a fan of post-apocalyptic stuff. One of his first album that I ever bought by him was called Bunker Tor Sieben, which is Bunker Door Seven. Um, but sorry, bring me back. Post-apocalyptic, blah 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 blah. Oh yeah, yeah. Wumpscut at a certain point in his career. The world discovered what I had known for about 5 years, and his stuff started selling like crazy, and he was selling singles of every album, came out with new singles of everyone. He endorsed a few bands and produced a few of all were awful, absolutely awful. And from what I understand, that robot Scrapland game that um, American McGee attached his name to was, I played it, but I never finished it. It had some cool stuff to it. Depending on which robot you. To a certain, gosh, now that I think back to it, it has some. Scrapland has some elements in common with Peace Island in that game. You had control over a wide variety of robots. Each of them had their own specialty, and each of them, if you use them, would have certain different approaches to each puzzle throughout the game, depending on which robots you have. So, strangely enough, Scrapland, now that I think about it, has a little bit in common with Peace Island. But I still, can I just say, I hate to say it's about a game I'm comparing to Peace Island, but it didn't get the greatest reviews, and I can see why, because there was very little really good story in there, and it depended on Flash, and a lot of it was very beautiful to look at. Let's just go against Scrapland. When you were in the middle of the city, let's just go back to Scrapland screenshots. It took place in this three-dimensional robotic city, and just finding your way around there, it had sort of like that feeling, if you remember. I really hate referencing any of the Star Wars prequels, but you remember when they were on Coruscant, and they came out and there was just cars flying all around, no matter where you were. It was sort of like that the first time you went in there. It was just overwhelming. But it just had the standard racing games. Oh yeah, let's race, and it just standard delivery missions and such. I don't know. It lacked the American McGee je ne sais quoi. Oh, I lost all viewers. Bye bye. Ah boy. Um, yeah, everybody's left to go and buy Scrapland. No. But yeah, we're seeing Lodi McLoaderface here still working. Gotta do it. Gotta do it. And we're coming up on only 10 minutes until, this whole stream is going to be done. Because I do this about an hour a night. Unless some fascinating conversation comes up. Okay. Hey, well, YouTube thinks nothing of you. YouTube hates everyone who's watching. They say I have no one watching, so. That's what I mean. YouTube is just this horrible, faceless corporate behemoth. Anyway, um, but can I just say something? And I was watching a YouTube channel earlier tonight, and he touched on this. For some reason, there was always this sort of like overlap between Goths and Alice in Wonderland. There was and American McGee's Alice really buys into that intersection there. Um, but maybe I mean, here's a problem. I don't think I have time to play American McGee's Alice these days. That I again, when hopefully Peace Island is done and sold, I might be able to find a week to just I don't know rent a house somewhere, and or in a hotel room or someplace Greece on a Greek island with no internet, and I'll just have a computer loaded with all these games. And I'll just walk around the island in the evening, enjoy the sun. And in the evening, I'll just go home and I'll just play until I get all these games that have piled up out of my system. Anyway, but oh goodness, Julie, I'd have to. I mean, how is development going? Julie asks. Therein lies a tale. It depends on how long it's been since you've tuned into, how long, I mean, is this your first time, like, checking out the game, or are you, like, it sounds like you're familiar with it. So, there we go. URP, HD and URP support packs. URP for River Auto Material. There we go. Install that. Now, you'll notice the terrain. There's no terrain underneath here. In fact, we're going to go into the main scene and we're going to play it, and you'll be able to see there's no terrain. That is because the terrain shading system that we were using is unfortunately deprecated. And we have two choices. Either upgrade to their most recent product, or we develop one of our own. We do not have the time or funds to develop one of our own terrain shading systems, so I have gone with the first one, as we brought in Infosys new system. But I'm just going to go, Julie, to answer your question, how has development been going generally? Over the last, I'd say year now, it's been going fantastic. Ever since we got rid of, these I made the mistake early on in the game's development. I talk about this too much. I made the mistake of hiring some people who came to us with very long resumes, both absolutely no skill, and for about they were about a year behind development because of that. But here's the thing: is another bit of the here's the thing. I I finally got rid of those guys, and we found ourselves a new coder. And over the last year, I'd say year, we did more work on the game than we did in the previous two. It's really coming together in ways that I'm just so grateful for. Because for the longest time, while those people were here, oh God, I won't even bore you with it. One of these days, I'll write a book. Uh, it's just explaining how that all happened is just crazy. And oh yeah, Julie, yeah, I'll type it in here, patreon.com/peace island. And and contact me directly on there, and I can, if you want, I can hook you up as like a playtester. Once we get this whole conversion of the game over to URP, we're going to be releasing a new playtest version. Um, the last playtest version that we sent out resulted in 104 pages of revisions and suggestions on how to make the game better. Uh, we are about halfway through that, and hopefully going to be able to release a new one by the end of the month. We were planning on releasing the closed beta for Patreon supporters in May, but various factors, delays. We were not able to, but we're now shooting for July for a closed beta. And a closed beta means that's a beta that we're going to release to the people who subscribe on Patreon and other VIPs, such as the publishers that have been so just like at our heels going, hey, we have money, we want to give you. I mean, seriously, that's what we've had to put up with over the last 3 years. Well, no, I mean, it sounds crazy, put up with, but no, uh, we have so many publishers that are willing to fund the game on a level that's even beyond what our Patreon support. But we have to get them the beta. We have to get them the beta, and again, we are unfortunately a year behind in that. But we are really getting closer, and we're firing on all four cylinders. We're getting new stuff done every day. I mean, it's shocking. And some people on our Patreon are guys just telling us, dude, you guys are going too fast. You need to slow down. You need to take it easy. And I'm like, no, this is the way development always should have been. And it always was until we brought in those idiots. Anyway, I'm not going to talk about that. And I mean, now that it's just back to myself, Laura, my partner, and a coder, I mean, we're like the Eurythmics +1, man. We're just getting it done. Jeez, I never compared our team to the Eurythmics. But then you think about it, that guy from the Eurythmics looks a lot like Rick Sanchez. Let's bring him up. Eurythmics. Male member of the Eurythmics. Yeah, I mean, come on. That's a young Rick Sanchez right there, isn't that? Come on. He's like, Marty. Yeah, that's like his trans-dimensional girlfriend that turned into a planet later on. Yeah, I think that's what it is. It's really the Eurythmics. That's why they broke up. They became Rick and Morty. Anyway, let's go back to the game instead of talking about the Eurythmics. And it looks like Lodi McLoder. Oh, no, Lodi McLoder Mayface is still working. Bless your soul, Lodi. She's such a good worker. But after this is installed, all the bodies of water should function. And really after that point, I need to become a heck of a lot more selective. One of the major last things that's causing problems are these bushes here. But that has to be handled very delicately after the general world is in order, where I can just like undo that, But I tell you what, after this is installed, we're just going to go into the main game world and we're going to run around for a second as a cat, so you can see, yes, it runs. But again, this was all about us converting to a new rendering package. Let's see, game America, yeah. Yeah, I can't talk about the people, just to go into this. There have been publishers who approached us and they are ready for the, beta. I cannot mention their names because every time we do, it's a non-disclosure agreement. And I will say that, let's just say, I can say it this way. As you know, there is a fantastic, console game development, console platform developed by Microsoft. You see everything snapped into proper colors there, except that texture has to be redone. You see, we have the line down the center of the road again. I could fix that. That's no problem. And that was just one of the things I did. But anyway, that console is really interested in seeing the beta. And the problem with that is that if we ever did a contract with with a publisher of a console specific publisher, they're going to want an exclusive, which means even though the game is developed for PC and Mac initially right now, we would have to switch everything to development for that platform. So I don't know whether we're ready for that. But like I said, what we're going to do is we're going to go into the main game world. And we're going to take us, just get another step back. It looks like we're up to about, still about 70%. But once we get those hedges fixed, these tiny strings of things. Let me just grab that over there. I can show you. Yeah. You see these hedges here. They are something. Again, that has to wait because it's just so delicate. The last time I did it, it just blew everything out and I had to start over. And so this time, I'm going to lay that on the back. So we're going to go to the main scene right now and just run around. And it's not going to play very well within the editor right now because, again, uh, because we're in the number one within the editor, it never runs as fast. My God, we all of a sudden have four viewers, and this always happens whenever I'm like at the end of my hour. All of a sudden, we have a bunch of people tuning in. What the heck? I could stay here longer. Laura's feeding the kitty cats tonight, but that's another 2 hours away, actually. Anyway, let's see here. Yeah, we're gonna go into the main, and also, can I say it's not going to play very well because as you see here, I'm going to clear this, and you can see dynamically, it's spitting out all of these errors. Cause I mean, every frame, every second, even when it's not even playing right now, is reporting all of these compiler errors because it's just going. The URP engine is wondering what am I supposed to do with this? What are you giving me? So again, it's not going to play as well, but it's it's going to play. And actually, I'm going to turn that off because when it has to constantly update like that. Oh, now we're down to two. Anyway. Goodness. Yeah, and this guy. Oh, God, no. Wrong scene. Oh, God, guys. I just condemned us to about 5 minutes of waiting. You see, I opened it up at the veg studio, not the exterior, and I can't stop it. It has to do its thing. But anyway, hey, we could continue here. I'm going to continue here until I can at least show you guys the game running in the main exterior. Sorry for the delay. This happens sometimes. Oh, so unlucky. Yeah. It is what it is. It'll just take a minute. Let's see. Yeah, we're gonna for some reason looking at these guys. Yeah, but because here's the brutal fact of the matter is that even under the most ideal conditions, after the beta, it's going to take us another year to get the game done. It just will, because we have to plug in all of the dialogue and all of the story in, and that in itself is a titanic task. And quite frankly, I would like to bring in our original animator and redo the cat animations, the cat model, cat animations entirely. And unfortunately, we don't have the time or the funding to do that right now. But if we got corporate funding, well, that would be first. And why did? And one time we had a cat controller that had animations that were done by an alumni from Grand Theft Auto 5. And in the end, we had the controller and animations that were done by a college student. How this happened, again, is a very long story, and it will come out eventually. And let me tell you, if I went back to that guy, and he's in India, and I told him straight, and what was funny about this is that original animator, the Grand Theft Auto guy, he gave me this big discount if I pay him in Bitcoin. Ha! How'd that work out for you? There. Anyway, let's hope that he is still in business because he did a really good job. The only problem that he had is that I'm getting the impression that over there cats are not very common, house pets or maybe alley cats, because his first animations of the cat scratching were just really bizarre. Right, the cat would scratch itself with its. It would stand up on its hind legs like a simian, like a monkey, and it's like, have you ever seen a cat scratch itself? And I sent him like a video. He's like, okay, no problem, and he got it done. Only problem with this scene here is number one, it's not the one that we want to play because, again, we're gonna have to go into the main exterior. Number two, it's in the middle of the night. You really can't see it. And it looks like there's some stuff stuck to the camera here. You could probably see on the right-hand side of the screen these sort of like rays, these dark rays. I think we have some stuff that's attached to the camera that shouldn't be there. That'll be an easy fix. And now we have to wait for it to stop. Yeah. So anyway, Where were we? What was I rambling on about? We were talking. Oh yeah. While we wait for Lodi McLoderface, let's look into this. Where the South was right book. I'm just absolutely curious because I mean, if I haven't made this clear, I from the age of 10 into the age 10 onwards, I lived in Tennessee for 13 years. Um, Bless the South, but not my. I'm just gonna say the South was right by who? I have to find the author to get like the Wikipedia. There we go. Excuse me for the hiccups. I've been eating cheese. All right. Oh, it doesn't even get a Wikipedia article. No, it doesn't look like it does. Wow, it was that unremarkable. Um, I'm just gonna see. I have to see. Oh, I see. Let's see. Oh yeah, it's one of these things. It's the idea of big government not only is politicized, it's slavery. Oh, come on, yeah. Yeah, it was only because it was really an argument about big government, and it was only in the guise of slavery. Oh, screw you! I mean, honest to goodness, I have as somebody who grew up in the American South. Can I just say, I have no patience for this noble, cause or crazy Confederate revisionist history. It's garbage. It's absolute garbage, and the South needs to get over it. I mean, it's kind of I just never seen and again I live down south and I'll preface this as I always do with saying the people down south are the most sweet folks I've ever met. Give you the shirt off their backs, etc., etc. But on the other hand, I've never seen a culture historically so proud of a defeat. Just, I mean, really, I mean, there are so many alternate histories and so many professors out there, and so many books written about how, oh yeah, the South was really winning the Civil War, and if it had been for this or that, the South would have won. No, no, no. Look into your history from the very beginning to the very end. The South was losing. They never. I mean, the only I think Robert E. Lee did the one of the only few invasions of the South into the North, and all he did was like go into West Virginia and a little bit north of that. He was mostly just a skirmisher. The South lost that war, and they deserve to. And geez, I don't want to go into too much history here. Anyway, I have no love for that kind of crap. Um, I mean, I was glad to see the Southern states finally take the Confederate flag off of their insignia and stuff. I just have to think back. I mean, when I think, I mean, the Alabama license plate used to have the Confederate flag on it. It says the Heart of Dixie. And it's like, okay, everybody who drove a car, including African American and other people, minority, had to go around with a freaking Confederate flag on their freaking car. Honest to goodness. I get over it, the South. Clear. Seriously. You lost the war, get over it. A lot of people lose wars. A lot of countries lose wars. Just get over it. Tear down all those stupid monuments that you have every 50 feet. I mean, seriously, you travel down south and you'll discover, I mean, in places like Tennessee, where the big skirmish states along the border, you go along the freeway and every 50 damn feet there's some sort of Civil War monument about a place where, four soldiers got drunk and lost from their battalion and, got shot because they were stupid. But it's like shown as the Battle of something Ridge. They need to tear all of those things down. They just do. Oh, we need to remember those people who died for this noble. Oh, shut up. Anyway, I'm done. I'm sorry. You got me off into politics. We're over an hour. And as you can see here, I'm down into the point where I got to start doing some real, just some delicate surgery with the project. I got to take care of these hedges And these rocks here, those are another major concern. But also, we never opened up this. Oh, I'm not going to stop it yet. I got off on politics, and I didn't show you the game world on the outside. And to any of my friends from the American South might be tuning into this. Again, I lived down there for 13 years, so you can't accuse me of being some elitist northern liberal who don't know about what it's like down there. Trust me, I know what it's like down there. I know what it's like to, somebody say, "Hey, what kind of Coke you want?" A Pepsi. That's the thing. I mean, I live down Tennessee, but don't no. I mean, you got to get over to the whole Southern, Civil War thing. And can I just tell you, it's such a wonderful thing to go down south and hear so few young people having that deep Southern accent. Just really get rid of that. Have no love of the Southern accent, specifically because in my life, again, I lived there from the age of 10 till the age of 20 something. And that means every authoritative, annoying voice that I ever heard in my life, from ignorant teachers to ignorant lawmen, were all Southern voices. So, bless you, still love you guys, but it just, guys, there are so many great things about the South. I mean, you got the raw Smoky Mountains Preserve, you got seafood, you got the Gulf Coast, you got so many fantastic things, so many artists, so many literature. I mean, honest to goodness, and on it, you could talk about take pride in things that you do so well and are wonderful. Southern barbecue, unlike anything else in the world, unlike anything else in the world. Take pride in what you are right now. Stop talking about this war that you lost, that was fought over freaking treating people like they were animals, less than animals. And so, no. I mean, down south, I mean, if you whipped a dog, people would be, don't be whipping. I mean, if you whipped this, heck, it was your property, it was an object. Anyway, I'm going to stop ranting about it because I just, again, yeah. And I hate people because I just say, I'm going to go someone, Eric's trying to virtue signal and show how he's woke. Oh, freaking hell. Just declaring that you think slavery is a bad thing is all of a sudden virtue signaling and being woke, quote unquote. Honest to goodness, where are we become as a society? I'm sorry for those who are watching. Uh, and by the way, yeah, I will say Southern barbecue, unlike anywhere else in the world. I mean, we have some places up here in Maine because no, you have to live in a state that has very bad emission standards for automobiles because requiring that like pit barbecue thing requires just burying meat and smoking it for 12 to 15 hours at a time. It's starting to play. By the way, not a big fan of the Eurythmics. I kind of like Sweet Dreams and Missionary Man, but outside of that, nah. I am a child of the 80s. I mean, I grew up with a lot of that. Now, this is the last thing I'll say. I could point out a lot, but yeah, right now, let's see. We got the cat. Yeah, as you can see, we cannot see the terrain. The moon is like all the way down there. It looks like dawn is about to arise. Um, and yeah, all the shaders are not working. You can see the anti-aliasing is not working yet. And let's take a look at our console here. And just say, yeah, it's just spitting out errors still like crazy. So there's really, I mean, unfortunately, nothing I could show you other than like right now, because the game is such a transitional state that, yeah, here's the game. It does exist in the IRL here, and it does run, and we are going to be releasing that public beta in July. Um, and I know I'm not showing you much because, again, this is not a great time to show off the game because, again, it's so much magenta, so many missing textures and such that need to be converted and replaced. And again, every time it pitches one of these errors back, NEC, oh my goodness, it's producing about definitely at least 20 a second. And every time the processor has to produce one of those, that's several milliseconds that it takes away from. But anyway, I think I'm at a point, we're going to take the long view again. I think we've got about transferring the project over to URP. We've got about 70% of it done. The rest of it, like I said, is just even more boring work than what you've seen here this evening. And I'm going to just continue on that, and I'll talk to you later. See you guys, and I'll be back in a couple of days, maybe 3, 4, 5. I don't know, because I keep on saying I'm going to stream, every other day here and there, but things come up. And over the last few days, I haven't streamed at all because I'm like, do people want to just see loading bars and me ranting? Well, yeah, I had to stream with that because that's all I had, and I just do want to show people that we haven't disappeared. We're still here. The game's still getting done, and hey, I'll see you again in a couple of days, a couple of weeks, a couple of days, whether it's 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, but I'll be back. And also, you can we got a Twitch channel as well. I'll put that in the chat really quick. I sometimes show up there. Let me just go Twitch, Peace Island. Yeah, it's Twitch TV, Peace Island, Maine. That's kind of an interesting thing. I like streaming over there occasionally, but I'll put that there. And after that, I'm going to say good night to all those who, tuned in for this very special and very dull broadcast. And those who may be tuning in for later. And like I said, in a couple of days, I will be back. So thanks a lot. Take care, and looking forward to seeing you again.